over here. I guess I'll get my own coffee then.
Celeste was here.
So, how's it going here, dear?
What? Sorry?
Yeah, sorry
What?
to disturb your important at the coffee counter work, hun.
Sorry, I was just writing some stuff down here.
Oh, oui, oui, Monsieur le Poète.
Very funny. First of all, you're my first customer today. And second, I got some great ideas that I'm writing down here. This stuff is gold.
Well, let's hear it.
Okay, here's what I was thinking of first. People often think that if something in their life changed, some circumstance, then they could be at peace, right? So they think, if I had a better boss who just treated me better, or a spouse that met my needs, or if we just had more money, then we could do the things that we want to, and then I would be at peace. That's the way people often think.
Or if only my husband could find another job, or like pay some attention to me when I come into the room. Those kinds of things.
Very funny. I have a job. My job is giving people like you coffee.
You didn't give me coffee, dear.
Well, you got your own coffee. You know your way around here. But I want you to listen to something. This is what I wrote, and it's a quote from me. Okay? It says, "Bitterness of heart does not dissipate simply because circumstances improve. In fact, without proper reconciliation and without the grace of God in a person's life, there is no hope for peace, no matter how easy one's life seems to be."
So you're quoting yourself now. That's interesting.
Why not?
But it is actually really good. And Phoenix and I were just talking about something along those lines.
Oh, your friend Phoenix from China?
Do you really need to ask, hun, like how many Phoenixes do we actually know?
We know one.
Yeah, exactly one. So that's the Phoenix I'm talking about. Anyway, she was telling me that God has really changed her, that he guided her, that he's given her the ability to forgive her husband. And so even when her circumstances hadn't changed, she's actually experiencing peace.
It's interesting because I was reading in Hebrews 12. Let me look it up here, 14 and 15. It says this: "Strive for peace with everyone, and for the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one fails to obtain the grace of God, that no root of bitterness springs up and causes trouble, and by it many become defiled."
So even if we can't have peace with others, because admittedly some things are out of our control, we can always experience peace within ourselves, even if our circumstances don't change. Let me tell you more about Phoenix's story.
Okay, but first, let me see what I remember, because I remember part of this. One, she's a new believer, and two, her husband's a compulsive gambler. So I guess I don't know too much. I know two things about her.
Well, you're right, and actually her husband was wasting all the family's money, and he was even physically abusive towards Phoenix, and honestly, they were on the verge of divorce, and it really seemed hopeless. Phoenix had just a ton of resentment towards her husband, but also towards God for allowing her to be in those circumstances.
That's interesting. You know, what do you say to someone like that? Because she obviously needs some encouragement, but it's hard to kind of speak into their life.
Yeah, what do you say to a person like that? And I never knew what to say to her, but God was actually working in her heart, and he really changed her life. So she experienced peace with God, and then eventually she was able to trust God with her circumstances and even with her relationship with her husband.
So first she found peace with God.
And then she was able to forgive her husband and experience peace herself.
Why? Because he stopped gambling?
No, that's the crazy thing. He still gambles.
That's interesting.
Which part?
So what you're saying is that her attitude changed even before the actions of her husband changed, or even like they might not even change.
You're right. And actually, things eventually did change. Like now her husband is helping out more with the kids and the family, but it didn't start out that way. It took time. And she's actually been able to learn to respect her husband. She's learning to work on their marriage.
Yeah, and he's still gambling, but it sounds like she's chosen to, instead of fighting with him, she's fighting for their marriage instead.
Right, and her health is really improved, and she feels more joyful.
So I guess we can have peace even in the hardest of times, right? So even God might not ever fix a difficult situation that we're in, but he always shows himself to be sufficient to carry us through whatever it is that we're going through.
And it seems that once you have peace with God, He will help you to have peace with your circumstances. And actually, if we're going to trust in God and His sovereignty, we can trust Him with the circumstances of our lives.
Yeah, and if we believe that God's got a good plan for our life, doesn't matter what the circumstances are, we can believe that He's got the best in mind for us and that He knows what He's doing. And we can sometimes see how that plan is unfolding.
And if we can't see His loving purposes, we can at least trust Him. It's like that verse in Romans 8.
Romans 8:28.
Yeah, that's the one.
It says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to His purpose."
And peace is also one of the fruits of the Spirit. So as Christians, our lives ought to be characterized by peace. We shouldn't be argumentative towards others or bitter towards them.
So it's like how James talks about trials in the Bible.
Chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. Let me read that one. "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness." Wow, that is challenging.
Yeah, so if you think of it this way, if we look at our own circumstances and even realizing that they may never improve, by God's grace we can endure them and still have peace and joy through any circumstance.
And if we can't, the first step is to pursue that peace with God. So this is what Phoenix has really helped me to understand. There's a line of thinking that says, if only my life were better, then I would be at peace. However, that is a lie. True peace comes from within us, not from the circumstances outside of us. Even if circumstances never improve, or even if they get worse, peace with God will enable us to live at peace in any difficulty. When we live at peace with God and then extend His grace to others, hearts are changed, both ours and theirs.
Just thinking about that. It's kind of like in the Proverbs. I wonder if I could write like a new proverb like, "Grace is found in many situations. Peace with your wife is found through God."
Oh, come on. It's not that hard, is it, honey?
Yeah, it probably makes you sound worse than it really is. So I'm sure I need some time. Just give me some time to think.